Alright, so this is going to be a really quick tutorial on how the lighting board for the Brentwood United Methodist Church Youth Tabernacle works. I'm going to start over here on the right side of the board. Basically what you have is your master level, and then you have your Y and X fader. Typically this is always in the shape of a V. Down here at the bottom right you have the blackout button. If I push it and the light comes on, that means the board is blacked out and nothing I do makes any difference. Okay, down here in the bottom right we have CHS1 and CHS2. That stands for Chase 1 and Chase 2, and then we have Tap Sync. I'll get to those more in a minute. Over here we have a program button, and then we have our mode button, which we do need to use. And if I push the mode button, you'll see the green light move between the modes. We want to make sure that it's in the 24x24 mode. So the first thing you do when you come in is you make sure that it's in a V shape. You make sure that the blackout button is turned off so you can use the board, and you make sure it is in the right mode, 24x24. And when we're done with the board, we always push blackout to turn it off. What we have here, starting on the top and going over to the right, this board can accommodate a total of 24 lights on this X-axis, but we only have 20 lights. So now I'm going to quickly go through what each of these does, and some of these, as you can see, are labeled, and we'll talk about that, and some are not labeled. Okay, each of the lights are grouped in fours. So basically the first four we have right here are grouped together. These are all white lights, and they are considered the harsh lighting. Okay, I'll get to what that means in a minute. These next four are facing right at the stage, and these are, the F stands for front light. So as you can see, that's lighting way up front of the stage. And then we have right here a BG and an R. BG stands for blue green, and that is facing on the stage. And then we have R for red, which is facing at the stage as well. Okay, then we come over to these next four, and what we have that here are considered the flat lighting. And then over here we have Y for yellow, O for orange, BG for blue green, P for pink, R for red, G for green, another G for green, and another R for red. And as you just saw, they're each facing at just a different part of the stage. Alright, now let's talk about what these four do. These are harsh lighting. They do not have a gel on them. A gel is nothing but a piece of kind of a colored plastic that you put in front of the light. And these do not have anything in front of them. These four have kind of neutral density gels, which is kind of like a very light colored gel. It's almost clear and see-through. The difference in the harsh and the flat is that the flat offer just kind of an overall more consistent light, and it typically doesn't give you harsh shadows, whereas the flat lighting will give you a much more intense light, and the shadows are usually a lot more crisp, and it's kind of more of a defined light, more centralized, almost like a spotlight kind of. So basically these four that these 8 that I have up right now, these are really the white lights, and they light the entire stage. So if I put them all up, you can see that the stage itself is completely lit up. The way that they're organized is number 1 right here is facing the far left of the stage. Okay, then we have number 2, which is facing kind of the middle left of the stage. And then we have number 3, which is facing the middle right of the stage. And then we have number 4, which is facing as far right of the stage of where somebody would be standing. And it's the exact same organization of these 4. So the very first one is the far left, then the middle left, then the middle right, and then the far right. Very important to know which and where these are facing, so that if there's somebody over there just on the piano, you can illuminate just them with whichever one of these 2 you want to. And you can see the difference in how the intensity is and how it lights that part of the stage. Now I'm going to get into the bottom row here, the Y-axis. Numbers 1 through 15 basically are programmed. So if I push up number 1, you can see that nothing but color shows up. That's because all of these color right here are all programmed into this one slider. So if I push that slider up, you don't really see any difference. That's because I've already got these lights up. So if I push those all down, it all goes black. And now just with this one fader, I can push up and see all those color lights because they're all programmed into this one. Okay, right behind the lighting board in the tabernacle booth, you can see this key, and over on the left side it says lighting board programs. It has numbers 1 through 15. It tells you what each one of these faders does, 1 through 15. You can pull this off the back of the stage and you can put it right in front of the lighting board, right in front of you, so that you can always see what they do to help, so that you don't have to memorize 1 through 15 and what do they do. On the right side, it gives a description of how the chases work, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So right now I'm going to quickly go through each one of the 15 faders really quick so you can understand what they do and how it functions. Number 1, as you saw, is just nothing but all the color lights. Number 2 is like a set color pattern for a band. So if you don't have time to sit here and work a bunch of the color lights, which I'll get to in a minute, you just put up number 2 and you can kind of walk away. And it'll keep the stage kind of lit in sort of a colorful pattern for a band or whatnot. Number 3 is just the 2 front lights. So sometimes the speakers like to come up and get in front of the stage as opposed to standing on top of the stage. So that's all in number 3. Number 4 is nothing but the center stage lights. So this one is the same as having these 4 up, the center stage. All right. Number 5 is the outer stage. So it's the same as having all 4 of those up, just the lights that are focused on the outer part of the stage. Okay, number 6 is the left side of the stage. So it's basically the 2 faders that would illuminate just the left side of the stage. You can get that in one fader. Why would you do that? Well, let's say you have somebody or some people on the left side. It's easier to kind of use one fader than it is to find the balance between the 2 here. 7 is the left middle. So it's these 2 in a certain configuration. And then number 8 is the right middle, these 2, and then number 9 is the far right. It's the same thing as these gone up in a certain configuration. Then we have number 10, which is harsh and flat with no color. So I push that up. It's a certain combination of all of these 8 kind of pushed up in a certain way to give a certain look. Then we have number 11, which is harsh with no color. Actually, it's all the harsh lights just pushed all the way up, and then you can just control the intensity of it with this fader, like how much you want them all to go up. And then number 12 is the flat with no color. So it is basically these 4 up, all the way up, and then you just control with one fader the intensity of how much you want all those to go up. 13, 14, and 15 are dramatic lighting. So 13 is a certain color. You use basically orange, yellows, and greens. And then number 14 is another dramatic lighting, and it's nothing but the reds. And then 15 is more dramatic lighting, and it's nothing but the blues and the blue greens. Okay, then 16 through 24 is not programmed at all. Now, if you push up 16, it does have some sort of lighting pattern, but that's something default, and it is not. I did not program it. If you wanted to program 16 through 24, you're completely welcome to. The way to do that is to put up any of these lights in however you want it to look, and then all you have to do is hit the program button and then go to like number 16 through 24, pick any one of those, and you just push the button at the bottom. And there I just programmed whatever I just had up here, which I wasn't paying attention to, is now if I push that down and I push up 16, it's the exact same thing of what I just had. 1 through 15, do not touch. Do not program anything into 1 through 15. Leave it alone. 16 through 24 is yours to have fun with, whatever you want to do. But know that whatever you do, somebody else is probably going to come in and program something else. Okay, now looking at the bottom of the board, you have these things called bump buttons. If I push the button number 1, you see that the light comes on the left side of the stage. Button number 2, left middle, 3, right middle, and 4 right, and 5, and 6, and 7. What am I actually doing? Well, number 1, if you push that and hold it, it's the same as pushing this up, okay? If I push number 2 and let go, it goes off. So these are not buttons that you can push and they don't stay on. They only stay on as long as your finger's on it. And all it does is it's the same thing as pushing the X-axis faders up just for a second. So it's just a quick way to get them up. So it's something that you could do and kind of play like a piano, so to speak. And you can see that the stage is kind of lighting up like crazy. A good use for it is especially for the color. When you got a band going crazy, you go crazy with it, with your playing it like a piano, and that's really only useful for when bands are doing something really upbeat. Alright, now let's look really quickly at some lighting techniques. If I push up 11, which was the harsh with no color, I can get a nice low harsh lighting over the entire stage. So I just want a little bit, and that's just enough to illuminate whoever's on stage, usually the band you would do this with. So the reason that 10, 11, and 12 don't have color involved in them is so that you can be the one to control all the color on stage. So right now I have just a low lighting on stage, and if the band is doing something crazy, I can do my little fingers, play it like a piano, and do some crazy stuff. Remember I said 13, 14, and 15 are dramatic lighting. I can fade those up and down as I see fit and give some sort of dramatic lighting to the stage. If it's a slow song, sometimes we fade some of the colors up really slowly and just kind of change the tone of what's going on. Lighting adds a lot of dramatic feel, and it really helps to intensify the band or whatever song that they're playing. Let me talk about the chases really quickly. So for chase number 1, there is a certain color sequence programmed into this button. So if I push this button, you'll see on stage that there is just a little bit of color. This tap sync button is what drives these chases. If I start to push this, you can see that the colors are starting to change, and I'm letting go now. I'm not touching it with my finger anymore, but whatever beat I was pushing with my finger to this tap sync, now the lights are changing color at the same rate. So this is really good if you have a band playing and you want to match the lighting change to the beat of the song. So chase 1 is all the lights in the background, and then if I push chase 2, it's just a different color combination that are programmed into this chase. If I push chase 1 and chase 2 together, it's all of those color lights going at the same rate with that tap sync. So now if I push this tap sync button faster, you can see how the lights are changing and going way fast. I can push it slow, and you'll see that they were changing at the rate at which I was pushing the button. And then to stop it, all you do is push the chase buttons again. Now the tap sync keeps lighting up, so it's still working, but it doesn't matter because your chase buttons are off. So that's pretty much the basics of the lighting board and how it works. If you have any questions, let me know. Oh, and since I'm done with it, make sure you push that blackout button. Thanks. Have a great day.